Hey addicts, welcome back. We're here to talk about Arifureta episode 3, and this episode I think was probably the best one we've seen out of the 3. It doesn't mean that there isn't still some problems, but I think it's moving in a better direction. I guess starting off, we'll do a little bit of a recap. Still, it's got very few story beats, but I would say this one's a little bit more entertaining because you get to see Hajime and Yu come together, fight that one enemy that we left off on the last episode, but then we also get to see them travel further into the labyrinth, and we get to see them go up against an enemy that uses possession tactics, I guess, and then, or I guess it's more of like a parasite thing, but whatever, if you want to describe it. And then we also get to look back at the hero party, which doesn't add much, but we do get to touch in on them, and then we end the episode with Hajime and Yu getting to the final boss of the labyrinth. Not seeing it, but they're at the door, so that will be probably at least part of the episode for next time. But I think there is some stuff to highlight in this episode. I mean, we pretty much got, I would say same criticisms are still present. They haven't fixed it, which, it's kind of, I guess, what would you call it? Probably inevitable, because the season's already probably done. At this point, they're not probably going to change anything. So we're not going to talk about that. But I think it is important to highlight some of the things they did do right. I think some of the little moments came out a little bit better. We get to see the interaction between Hajime and Yu. I think some of the best ones in the first book we got to see in this one, because there's the one where Hajime has to shoot at Yu, which that interaction's great, and then you also get Yu always wanting to go after Hajime for his blood, which is also another little moment. But I was going to talk to you, Michael, because last episode, we were sitting here and we were I don't know what it is, but Hajime just doesn't seem like Hajime to me, and I don't know why. And after we recorded that video, I was sitting, and I think I finally figured out that, or pinpointed what I think it was, and I think it was that we got I don't want to say edgy, but we got his dark side in the first 2 episodes, but we didn't get the full extent of Hajime, because I think Hajime is also a big joker a lot, or the way he nonchalantly deals with things is in a comedic way, and I didn't think we saw that all in the first 2 episodes, which I think probably was one of the reasons why I had an issue with his character in the adaptation of this show. But I think in this episode they did a really good job of bringing that a little bit more out to show the full spectrum of his character. What do you think on that?
I do certainly agree that we do get a more complete Hajime in this episode. There's still some interactions between him and Yu, and just some writing that is awkward. Yeah. I don't know if it's the animation combined with the voice acting that makes it awkward. But there are some times where it's it doesn't really, it's still a little off, but it is better than it was previously.
Yeah, I think the most prevalent part of that is when they were fighting the first battle of the episode. Some of the dialogue between them is a little just weird. It's not choppy or anything. It's just something about it just seems off from I don't know if necessarily people necessarily would say that, but I think the interactions that they have on a more personal note, or even in the second fight we see them in, I think that one's immensely improved. I don't know if you said, because the animation's different too in that, but I just like that the way they adapted that more. I think it was a better quality.
Yeah,
just showing Hajime
if you're still on borderline on the show, the first fight is more of the same, bad animation. The creature is kind of weird and not intimidating. But then the second half of this episode, we get another fight again with the parasite-like creature, and I think that it was done a lot better. So I guess we just have to hope that all the fights moving forward are more in that style and that much effort put in, instead of what we've seen previously.
I think the thing that throws me off is, at the beginning of the show, you get to see a lot of more one-on-one, or just bigger nemesis, or stuff that's supposed to be bigger trials for him, or you, and those have felt a little off. But definitely when they've gone up against more numbers and stuff, I think that's where it's kind of shined a little bit better, especially you said in the back half, it's overall pretty improved. But the thing though that is something that they did, which at this point it's basically the only route they could have gone. So I guess in that sense, it's good that they put it in here. It's still one that doesn't set well with me, but it's like, okay, at least we got it there. And that is like when you and Hajime are like traversing, he kind of tells like a recap of like what we didn't see, like in the first episode, but then also a little bit of the stuff we had seen, kind of filling in the pieces, like laying it out. So again, that's not something that like it's necessarily like, a wanted, but I think it was needed for the way that they decided to do like the structure.
Yeah,
of the
that
show.
was helpful.
The other thing, I don't know, like the hero party, like I want to give them a shout out for at least like showing the hero party, because after that first episode, I didn't think they were going to show them at all. But it still, I kind of question it. It's like, wow, they're like really calling me on my words, because I was like, I think it like needs to be in there, but when they show it, I'm like, it doesn't really add anything. But I don't know if that's just because like they're not showing the things that matter.
We just need love for that one man. That's what I want.
Yeah,
Mel.
We
need to. Everyone needs to know that he's the best.
He's the best guy in that city by far.
Yeah, for sure.
At least right now. But yeah, man. I don't even know, like the scene we saw, it's like 2 seconds, and at first I thought it was a flashback to like when they first got there, and they're like giving, which doesn't make sense because like they didn't have their equipment when it happened, like when they first were learning their stats. But that's what I thought that scene was, and it's like, oh no, he's just like reviewing his whole thing for no reason during the
I don't remember. Anyway, I don't remember the timeline in the book, so I won't get into that. I could talk to Josh afterwards because I don't want to say stuff that's like not true at all. But yeah, it's interesting because he was like, I think it said he's level 50 or whatever. So well, I guess it would be. I don't know if Hajime checks his stats like before and after the final fight. We will get probably some updated version of his stats here pretty soon. So
yeah, it's kind of weird because like I guess it's kind of hard to do in a show because, like, in the book, it's like, it takes up a page of just, like, everything, So, I don't, like, even when you show up, like, the status plate, and it's got, like, this much of information, it's like, oh gosh, that's a lot to, like, read in, like, 2 seconds, So, yeah, but I kind of hope that they do that because, seeing it in this episode and then flashing back to, like, Hajime, if we do get it in, like, the next one or, like, right before he leaves the labyrinth, then that's going to show, like, at least the power difference at that point. I think next episode is probably going to be the final fight, and then, I don't know, I guess we might touch on, I think the question is, like, do they get out of the labyrinth? I think so, just because of how the pacing's been so far.
Yeah, probably.
But I just don't know if, we're going to get to see Shia, or if they're wanting to want to get to Shia in the next episode, or if they're just going to, like, extend that final fight, see them in that little place where Oscar had,
stuff, yeah.
And then, we touch back with the
Mavericks,
again. That was different. Some of the naming is a little changed. Mavericks I think is the same, but there's like when they called the ancient magic, like divine magic. I was like, okay, whatever. It's changed. I don't know why, but whatever. We'll go with it. But yeah, overall, like I said, I think I liked it. It's just like I liked it. If I had to go to our rating system, it's still not one I would say it's top tier, but it's going in a better direction.
Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't be as hard on it as I don't know. I don't know how hard I would be on it if I was just like watching the show for watching the show. But this episode was pretty good, and it is the reason why we're not super hyped about it being like a 6 or 7 is because Danmachi is great. So
Well, yeah.
It's like, and it's still a little disappointing, but I don't know. Maybe if they finish book 1 strong, like the source material for book 1, if they finish that well in the next episode, then maybe there's hope for moving forward. And I don't know.
Again, I think not to spend too long on it, but just kind of like reiterating my stance in the last video. I think this is one, like, once they get like everybody established, this is going to be probably like the format they're wanting to go with. I think it's going to work. It's just getting it to that point that's probably going to be the rocky road.
Yeah.
So, but I'm looking forward to see. I'm really curious to see how they handle bigger waves of enemies, because that scene that we saw with F.F.A, that's a little shortened than what it is in the book, which is a little sad to see because that's probably like one of my favorite deals. But I think animation-wise, or just like their stance on it, I think they did a good approach doing like traditional animation for that. That's kind of my hope going into it, because I've kind of already accepted the fact that the big bosses are probably going to be CGI, which again makes me a little less hyped for them. But at the same time, it's like if that's the only instance they're used, I'm a little bit more okay with it, because I think for the majority of the show and the series, it's all about the numbers game, like fighting huge waves of enemies. At least, before we get to like the more of the back end of the series. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's one more episode, and we got another one next week. So
it's true. Yeah, this 13, if I recall. So we're not even halfway. So there's plenty of time for them to get into more stuff. So, but we got to get out of here because we're on a timetable. So we'll see you guys next week, and we'll be back for more. Also, other reviews are going up this week over movie and other show, and possibly books if we have time.
Yeah, possibly.
So
we'll work on that
look out for those, and we'll see you guys later.
Later, addicts.
Peace.